Hi, this is DeRoy Cruz. Want to talk about my recent interest in gouache and how it compares and affects my other forms of water-soluble media. Now, right away, let's start off here with this Hemi Gouache. When I first got into gouache, it was like something really new. And I was excited to find out about it on YouTube and see a dozen videos about it and how it kind of sat between watercolor and acrylic. So I wanted to get me some. And I got the tube gouache. I have the Holbein tube gouache in the cupboard over there. What bothers me about it is, like, I feel like I wasted so much by tubing it onto, a palette per se, and making that mess. And I'm a pencil pastel kind of person. I'm Neocolor, as you can see. Neocolor 2s. And my Inktense pencils are my favorite. Those are the favorite things that I use. But I got into this Hemi gouache. Hemi, something like that they call it. And right away, as you can see, it's jelly. And I can just open it up, get a water brush or paint and water, and get busy, go to town, and I'm happy. And I've been using it for the last, this is brand new, by the way. Got this on Thursday, and I've been using it since Sunday night, which was last night here in Pittsburgh. Okay, so that's that. Also, too, I want to stress out that right away, this Hemi gouache has all the colors that I like. It has the, it has, your browns. It has it has two types of red and a pink. It has your purple and your two types of blue. It has three types of green, which one is like a blue-green right there. Okay, and then it has the black, and one would be like type of gray or something. And it has two whites, which I think they are different. When you put them on paper, you can see where one is more creamier than the other, and one is more disappearing in the paper than the other. That's just my opinion. The only thing about it is you do have to mix like I did here. You do have to mix sometimes in order to get the color consistency you want. There's no light blue in here, and light blue is a color that I use a lot. And this pink right here, is kind of dark compared to the way I like to use pink. So I added white, which it's good that there's two whites here. I add white to a lot of blues and pinks and browns to get the color consistency that I want. Okay, so that's that. Now what I want to talk about is the fact that it's really different to my social media because, like I said, I'm a pencil pastel person. I love the Neocolor 2s, okay, and I love the Inktense, pencils. That's what I love. And I'll just show you here real quick. But this gouache, what I love about the gouache is how you can layer. Like, sure, Inktense and watercolor pencils and the Neocolor 2s, people say you can layer and layer and layer, but I found out that out of everything that layers, nothing layers like acrylic. Okay, so if you have acrylic paint, you have the original gangster, okay? You have the original gangster if you have acrylic paint. you have the original gangster, okay? Acrylic paint is the bomb, okay? I like acrylic paint, but I like this gouache also because it's a little bit more friendlier than acrylic paint as far as finishing a piece. Just goofing around since last night. This is just some of the stuff. I love how you can mix the colors, and then even when the colors are dry, you can wake them up a little bit. Now, it's not as easy to wake the colors up as they say it is. You really got to go in there with the brush and tap it, and then you're most likely, and this is a con that you need to understand. You can tell when you added another layer onto the paint, which doesn't bother me. Like right here, you can tell that I went back over it with white and light blue in that, and that this pink in the middle was sitting there. You can tell that. And you can tell how I did the light blue and the white over that. It's a beautiful little splissage there, but the thing is, you can tell, which doesn't bother me. I'm fine with that. Compared to, you know, the fact that you can go over it. Now, you know, I've layered with these Hemi Gouache palette here. I've layered. I've been layering for the last 24 hours. So you know, different stuff that I drew, I layered. This was the last thing I did here just a little bit ago, and it dries pretty quick too. Especially when you put it on thick, it does dry pretty fast. But you know, you can blend colors, as you can see here. You can blend colors really good. Actually, I think watercolor and, you know, like Neocolor 2s, you know, just like pastels, you know, you can blend colors better with the Neocolor 2s. But as far as layering, and the other thing about acrylic paint, you know, like acrylic is the king of all paints, except oil paints. Acrylic is the king of all paints, okay? It's acrylic, then it's gouache, then it's watercolor, okay? Watercolor having the lightest proficiency, consistency, and then there's gouache, and then there's acrylic, okay? And then there's acrylic gouache, which is somewhere in between. I got to try out the acrylic gouache, which I think I'll love it. But I don't like to paint because it's just a waste, and it's just more that I have to go through. And today I've even used my water brush on this gouache, and it was awesomely fun. Matter of fact, this right here, I used my water brush on this whole thing here, okay? So here's some other messing around what I did. You can blend colors. Even after it's dry, you can go back over it and blend colors, okay? And I love that. Now, watercolor, as you can see. Now, let me say something about watercolor real fast. I have watercolor pencils. They are better than watercolor paint. Let me get something here. Let me get over here and get this. I got this set right here of watercolors from Walmart 2 weeks ago. And I'm not really impressed with it. The watercolors here are so soft. I should have got out something that I drew. But I drew this with them. Okay. But then I used my Derwent watercolor pencils to go back over it. And I made it look this good. But it looked at a mess. It looked a mess before I got the Derwent out. And I got these cheap. Now these here are from CVS Pharmacy, and I use these to clean this watercolor, you know, swatcher thing, whatever you want to call it. I use this to clean. I use this and the Derwent watercolor pencils to fix this. It was really, really nasty looking coming from this before I got out the pencils in this. So, you know, one thing you need to understand is that watercolor like tubs that have like the powder blocks in them are not as good as the ones that are creamy. And they're not as good as the pencils and the pastels like your Neocolors either. Okay? The Tombow is nothing like gouache, but, you know, as you mess around with it, I love the way it looks. I think it's one of them kind of things that really good for doing watercolor paintings, better than regular watercolor. These are the Tombow markers, watercolor markers. And I love, I did do a little bit of layering here, but Tombow, out of all of them, you got to really be careful because Tombow eats the paper really bad. I mean, the better watercolor paper you have with Tombow, the better off you are. But gouache, once you get that first layer down, just like acrylic, it creates like a gesso to the paper. And then you can keep on layering and layering and layering. That's the difference between Neocolors, Inktense, and watercolor and any other type of paint that you might use. Okay, I'm still a pencil and a pastel person, you know, water-soluble pencil and pastel person. But I'm going to be playing with this gouache for a while because I'm already in love with it. Especially this jelly gouache, okay? Especially this jelly gouache, okay? Here's the Neocolor 2s. I went over these Neocolor 2s with a little bit of gouache to clean it up because there was some consistency here that I couldn't get. And as you see here, when you try to go over it, it doesn't layer very well. As you can see, the grain of white coming back through the paper and the paint eating the paper because I went over too many times, okay? But Neocolor 2s are better than a lot of other water-soluble pastels because you can go over, depending on what paper you're using and how you start off your project, you can use Neocolor 2s. You can layer Neocolor 2. But you can't layer it like gouache. Okay? Now, the day that they come out with some gouache like pastels or crayons or something like that, oh, I'm going to be going crazy. I'm going to be excited. Here's the Inktense pencils. I'm going to tell you right off, Inktense pencils, what they are acrylic sticks. That's all they are. They're acrylic, and the binary in them, though, isn't as creamy and easy to use as gouache. Inktense pencils and gouache are basically the same thing. But the thing is, the binary in the Inktense pencils is not as creamy and easy to layer on the paper as gouache. Okay, and here again, as you can see here, I had some help from gouache to clean it up because the colors were looking dull as I tried to layer them. I made them look kind of dull, so I used the gouache to help me out, okay? But I did go back over them with Inktense pencils too. You can layer them, but not as well as you can the gouache, okay? Yeah, I think I should have one more. There we go. Okay. And here's the gouache that I started off with. This is the first thing I did last night. Swatching out some of the gouache. And as you can see, the texture of this paint is just... And look how vibrant that is. I really, really love it. I had to go over some things over and over again. See, I love how you can... Here is an example right here, how you can go over it after it's dry and continue to, you know, blast the colors. I love that. I love that. I just love that. Okay. So, there you have it. I'm really excited about these Hemi Gouache. I really am. I really am excited. Like I said, I'm a pencil pastel kind of person, but I'm going to have a lot of fun with these. I want to use these to become a better artist. I want to really, and I'm going to tell you something else. One of the things that I've been doing, thanks to having like any kind of acrylic or gouache in my closet, is that I always one of the greatest things is that I always am able to use acrylic or gouache, like after I use the Neocolor 2s or the Derwent Inktense, I'm able to use gouache or acrylic to go in and fix a drawing that I'm working on. If that drawing starts to eat the paper, or the layers are not laying down right, the brush strokes are not sticking right, I'm able to use gouache or acrylic to really, really fix the project. And so just imagine if gouache can fix, Neocolor problems, or it can fix Inktense pencil problems. Just imagine it can fix its own self. And it can also fix, acrylic and gouache can fix, pretty much anything that you draw, except maybe if you're drawing on oil. With oil, I don't know if that would mix or not, but any paint that you use, whether it be any of these watercolor pencils or pastels, or whether it be watercolor, you can use acrylic basically to fix anything. It starts off with acrylic, but gouache is really, really, really more friendlier, and it's really good. And I've been searching YouTube, and a lot of people are using gouache for their comics and their illustrations and their cartoons and you name it. And I just love, the idea, and I'm going to get into it. And I really want to use these to really train myself and get myself together as a graphic novelist. I will be using gouache along with Inktense Pencils in my graphic novel journey in artwork. So pray for me on that. But this is all I wanted to tell you. Hope this helps. The Hemi Jelly Gouache, awesome stuff, awesome paint. I love the way you can just open it up and grab a water brush and get busy. I like the Inktense. I like the Neocolor 2s because I can start to, and also the Faber-Castell and the Tombow markers. I love these three mediums because you can draw something and then you can put down texture from the pencils, markers, or pastels the way you would in a pencil drawing sketch, and then go over it with water to add the perfect touch. And I'll never ever get bored of that. That's my jam. That's what I like. That's what I'm into. Okay? But these here, I couldn't turn these down. I can't just let these fly by me. I had to get a set. And as soon as I saw them on YouTube and realized they came in a jelly, I said, oh, I got to give gouache another try, because I really do know that even though I'm not too crazy about tube gouache, and I got the Holbein in the closet there, Holbein, however you pronounce that, and I can't even open it, because like what happens is, like, after you have used them, you put the lid back on them, the lid gets on like paint, or like glue rather, and you can't get the lid off. So there's a bunch of colors that I can't use anymore with the Holbein. Okay, so I haven't been using the gouache because I can't even open it. But these here, I never got to worry about these closing on me and I can't open them. They're always not only, you know, they have this jelly consistency like, but they also, or, you know, I just take this lid off, okay, and boom, go to town. And I can use these just like I use my pencils and pastels. It's that simple. So thank you for watching D-Roy Cruz on my Big D channel. And I will talk to you again pretty soon, Lord willing. God bless.